Recording in progress.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's
Good afternoon, sir.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining in this afternoon. Welcome to Adobe Education Essentials session for afternoon. I've been joined by some eminent education leaders from across the country. Let me introduce them across to you. So this is Supreet Nagaraju. Myself, I'm your host for the next hour. I lead the education vertical for Adobe in India. Joined with me is Dr. Balasubramaniam, Director for J.K. Lakshmipat University School of Design. Professor Nachiket Thakur from MIT Institute of Design, Director. Uh, Professor Arunotpal Thakur from Delhi Technical University Design School. And also with us is Dr. Seema from SUPWA, popularly known as SUPWA, Pandit Lakshmichand University from Haryana. So welcome one and all. Welcome eminent panelists. So
Thank you.
thank you. We are in the midst of digital first, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the things that we keep hearing every now and then, and is digital and creativity. It's no longer an option. It's we are in the midst of it. It's an essential, and it's our present and future as well. And given these shifts, tectonic shifts that are happening across the world, and the current situation in which we are, pushed into. The first fundamental aspect that comes out is how can we create professionals who are ready to take on these challenges. And this is a challenge that every educational institution is today looking at grappling with. They've embraced it, and they're looking at marching into the new challenges with lot more arsenals in their kitty, and they're innovating in a very very different way. So let me open up the panel for conversation specifically on this subject of how can we sculpt students into professionals who can solve problems, creatively with high quality and scale them to solve problems across different parts of our country and different parts of the world as well. Let me open up the conversation. Let me start with Professor Arunotpal. Professor Arunotpal Thakur, the floor is yours. Your thoughts on this subject first.
See, in current day and age, because obviously we've been uh, really been disrupted because of this pandemic, but a lot of trends that we had seen before the pandemic struck, they've just been put on a real roller coaster, and it is everything has been like compressed. What would have happened in like 10 years, we're trying to do it in 10 months. And that means people not only have to learn on their feet, they also need to learn how to think on their feet. And these two factors, it's like, there's an old Australian saying that you walk and chew gum at the same time. So that's what we need to do. But everybody, all of us have had to do it, where we're trying to learn, we're trying to be safe, but we're also trying to get through our lives as normally as possible. Same thing is happening for students. We, because of we are of a certain generation, we think that okay, this is a passing phase. Maximum 2-3 years down the line will become normal, because we did not experience this when we were students or when we were young. But in today's world, what we call Generation Z, for them, this is going to be a part and parcel of their life for rest of their lives. So they will not think that this is a passing phase. They will know that this happens. It's like, people of a certain age who were part of Second World War or First World War, they know World War happens. We think that, oh, it happened, but it may not happen again. So that's why it is incumbent on people like us who are part of educational institutions or companies like Adobe to provide them with tools which will help them navigate what's coming and be successful, not only as an entrepreneur or a professional, but as a creative person, as a normal human being should be. I think that is where, the people in academic world, people in the uh, technology world, they need to come together and come up with solutions for these students, these young people, so that they can go on with their lives as we would say as normally as it can get.
Yeah, that's very relevant, Mr. Anupal. Let me move on, to Dr. Balsubramaniam. Dr. Balsubramaniam, few final pointers that I'd like to take forward from where Professor Anupal left was you've been focusing, particularly on one of the finer strands of MSME sectors and the marginal crafts, grassroots innovations in the past as well. And you've handled multiple genres of design education in NIDs to many of the southern part of India in Kerala and various parts of India as well. So do you think the problem of sculpting students is uniform across the length and breadth of the country? Are there different problem statements that you're trying to address when you're trying to bring these professionals to creative best? What are your thoughts on
In terms of demography, if you look at the students who come from various parts of the country, uh, they all bring with them their own whatever the character, and so they deal with the problems differently as well. So we really learn from each other, and we have a very diverse group of students in the place where I am just now, and that has helped us in understanding how a guy from Guwahati deal with the flood situation versus somebody in Jaipur. So there are characteristic differences between the students that we have. Similarly, I've worked with artisans, and artisans, which means craft-based. I've designed craft-based products as part of my professional life, and they are the ones who are really hit in this pandemic because of the fact that they're not digitally savvy. And if you look at their work and you look at them selling products at a desperate price, you realize that how much the digital divide has happened. And in fact, what happened after that was we formed a group called Hand for Handmade, and we got a lot of artisans on board, and we got them all phones with WhatsApp on it, and made sure that they're able to shoot. There was a workshop for them to shoot products, and so what we did was a uh, quick run of the whole process, the design process for the artisans, and that really helped.
That's nice. That's unique in a way as well. Let me move on to Professor Nachiket Thakur. You come in from a core background of automobile and design from a transportation standpoint, and this is a completely different realm of the industry, which has transformed itself over years. You've been in the industry, yourself as well, and now in the academic space in MIT. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on how do you look at sculpting professionals in your walk of life, particularly in the transport and design space?
Um, Thank you, Supreet, for the insight. Uh, I would like to take up that in a slightly broader way first, with respect to design in general. So, from that perspective, I think the understanding between the industry and the academics have increased multifold, because the requirements are blurring in terms of what the faculty is doing in the institution and what the professionals are doing in the industry. So that has really pushed each other, both the what to say group of people, to understand how digital sensitivity is important. in multiple domains. Right from the crafting side, in terms of how to use digital tools for uh, putting forth a concept, or even a production level activity, has been phenomenal. So the connect between the industry professionals coming on the campus to share their ideas, share their ways of working, has really reduced the gap in what the industry is was using and what we are teaching. So that becomes a very important aspect today, which is literally brought uh, the gap, if I may say, quite narrow. So it is very agile. So, for example, there's a tool which the industry is using because of people like you, or many other tools available. Though they come in the student's hand quite fast. In fact, there are instances where students say, "Sir, ye to purana ho gaya." Even if it is 6 months old, they come up with some solution digitally which they show, which is makes us to rethink about. Even 6 months is not a big period to change a course of action. So if you're looking at a digital tool, it always becomes a challenge for both the student as well as the faculty, and of course this gets driven by the industry. If that is what we are looking at the moment, to share.
Thank you, Nachiket. Let me welcome Professor KG Suresh. Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon show. Professor
Good
Suresh.
afternoon, Supreet. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was into we were signing an MOU with another university, so it was a digital online MOU ceremony, so I got a little delayed. My apologies.
no problem. So let me come to you in a minute, Dr. Suresh. I'll move over to our next speaker for a moment. Dr. Seema from State University of Performing and Visual Arts from Haryana. Dr. Seema, you come from a divergent background of performing and visual arts, more on fine arts aspects of it. What are your thoughts on digital creativity and technology impact? How do you look at sculpting your students in these era and these technology advancements that have happened?
Uh, Namaskar, sir. Hello to everyone. And first of all, I want to share some glimpse of my university. I think all of you have heard about Sukwa. Sukwa is a different kind of university. I think in in the country, it is a unique university. Under one roof, there are different courses we are running. It is a government institution, and film TV is there, fine arts is there, visual arts is there, architecture, and another one is design. And uh, in this pandemic situation, because it is a university where there are no professional courses, there are courses which are completely based on practical sessions. And um, in first wave, we were not prepared that we will do all the practical works online, and students are also not prepared for that. At the time, we were thinking that okay, this will pass on, and after that we will do practical sessions, because it is not possible for a student who took admission in sculpture, and how online it is not possible for him to design a sculpture. It is not possible for a student who admitted in for the course of painting, and online through online mode we will try to learn them. Okay, you can draw a picture and all these. And also in the same way, because in film TV it is not possible for film TV persons to take their classes acting. It is not possible that we learn how you will go with actors, and how you can, because all these are practical sessions, and we were completely dependent on practical classes. So but in after that it takes long time, and of course teachers were not prepared. Teachers are waiting. Okay, uh, it may complete, and maybe it may passes, and we will go accordingly a practical session. But after that second wave came, and I think almost 90% of university staff affected by this COVID. And now in second semester, we try to discover all the available resources through which we can complete our sessions online with online classes and all the tools. So uh, of course, online classes are helpful, but uh, uh, because these tools were designed before the pandemic, and um, uh, these tools are not so helpful for us. Uh, so we can tell the students, okay, students, um, you may download all the tools. We will we will take classes with the help of these tools. But nowadays, uh, there is a requirement in which only technology can help us,
Yeah.
and with the help of new innovations and new creative things, we should because a complete semester we have to complete with the help of online
Yeah.
teaching.
So we have
So
some options
I
available in that category as well. In fact, I was just
I
dwelling into it from a online sculpting standpoint. In fact, today Adobe has innovated, new areas, and I think
yes.
we'll look at addressing
Mm,
some of these queries from 3D sculpting standpoint using
yes,
AR,
yes.
VR tools,
So
substance area as well.
it must be user friendly also, because for a student, I think already there were some tools available, and
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
we have to follow. But you should help us in that way that actually it will fruitful for everyone, for the students. He or
Yeah.
she will maybe understand to how it will be fruitful for everyone, for both the teacher and for the student. Because if I am teaching with the help of online tool, and uh, being a teacher, I know how it will effective for a student, how it will help for
Got it.
how much it will helpful for the student. So
Yeah.
I think more user friendly and more easy tools in this particular scenario, you should provide to the institutions like uh, this university and all the institutions. This is my
Yeah, thank you so much for your inputs, Dr. Sima. Let me now move over to Dr. KG Suresh, Vice Chancellor of Makhandal Chaturvedi University of Journalism. So you've been a veteran journalist yourself. You've led multiple, journalism related academics in the past, and you've seen both the sides of the media, the physical world, the online world. The topic we are in discussion is we are in the world of digital first, and it's an essential option. It's no longer an option; it's an essential offering from a present and the future on digital and creativity. So, what are your thoughts primarily on sculpting students into professionals who can solve problems largely in creative, from a qualitative and mass scaling in nature? Yeah. Your thoughts from the journalism and
Thank you,
media.
Supreet. Thank you very much, and all the esteemed panelists. Greetings from Asia's first journalism university and India's biggest, media university, and the city of lakes. Um, a great listening to my fellow panelists. I just wanted to say that though we are primarily a media university, we also have a multidisciplinary approach. And now, after the national education policy, an interdisciplinary approach. So we have a management department, we have department of library science, we have a computer sciences and applications department. Also, apart from the different facets of journalism, including print media, electronic media, new media technology, these facilities are there. Well, when it comes to journalism, let me straight away come to journalism, basically, that because that is our core area, that's our domain. Now, where today, given the kind of situation that we are in, that's particularly post-COVID, one, we are into online teaching in a big way. This was earlier a fad. Now, it has become a necessity. And necessity is the mother of invention. So we have had teachers who have never been accustomed to even using a smartphone, but we have been able to switch over pretty well. Today we have an integrated newsroom facility, integrated classroom facility, wherein not just students in our Bhopal campus, but we have other campuses including Rewa, Khandwa, and Datia, the different localities, cities in Madhya Pradesh. So we have been able to bring them together through this integrated classroom project. You see, the emphasis today is on visual storytelling, and I wish to tell you that we have been using Adobe pretty extensively in our classrooms, in our labs. We are also in talks with them. Uh, but yes, we have a problem which I can share with you, and that is that most of our students come from the Hindi heartland. They come from UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Now, this is our catchment area, so to say. So, we would like these facilities which Adobe is offering to be a little more, custom built, customized, and affordable for our students also. Because though we are a state-run university, we are not a state-funded university. I mean, we have to generate our own resources. We don't get a single penny from the government. So, but at the same time, all government rules are applicable on us. So we are giving a big push to mobile journalism. We are giving a big push to visual storytelling, wherein Adobe can play and other softwares can play a very critical role, because that's going to be the future of journalism. Future of journalism is going to be convergence. Future of journalism is going to be integrated newsrooms. Future of journalism is going to be artificial intelligence. So when this is the future, obviously my students would be redundant if I only teach them, how to write a few feature or how to write a news story. I should be able to turn them into multitaskers. And that is where technology, digital technology, comes in a big way. So when we groom multitaskers, then they are ready for the market. They are employable. So we are not just grooming a generation of educated young men and women, but also employable. So we are giving them skills. We are also looking at, we have a huge emphasis on graphics. We are talking about now, as I said, artificial intelligence in a big way. We are looking at animation, visual effects, and in the near future, we would be looking at gaming and comics also. But that depends a lot on the kind of financial muscle that is required. So we are looking for more affordable technologies, given the constraints that we have as a state university. Those things are there. But yes, we know that that is the reality, and that is where obviously the content remains the king, queen, prince, princess. So content is important, but equally important is technology. So I think that we when we prepare these media persons, they are technologically techno savvy. That is the entire emphasis on them. Where that adaptability is there, they should be able to work in the most difficult technological situations. That's how we are preparing them, so that because we know that the market is getting limited to only highly skilled manpower, and when that is required, you need to have people with both creativity and technology.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh, for a well-rounded point that you brought out. Yes, point noted on making technology affordable. Yeah, and we will circle back to you on that. And uh, Adobe is committed in a way to bring the technology know-how to different strands of the society, and we'll work towards that. In a bit. So let me sum up few of these pointers. We all know and we all acknowledge that today digital first is the rock bed of our society. We like it, we don't like it, that's the realm. So either you adopt or you become dinosaurs. That's the finishing line that I would conclude this particular subsection of the first part. Let me move on to the next topic that I have for today's discussion. One of the things that we hear, and it keeps echoing consistently, is digital transformation across all boardrooms and across all industry verticals, including government, including education today, right? Now, digital transformation has got its own pluses and minuses. And at the same time, today, the goals or the outcomes of certain problem solving aspects have got a tinge of both digital and physical world amalgamation coming in, or what we call as phygital. And if I can coin that word, or if many people have been using this word, of course, in the last 1.5 years, so to speak. As a common man, what is it that it means to me from an education standpoint? What are the thoughts that we could do, we can think of, we can bring it to execution from encouraging innovation mindsets to address these problems in the digital world today? And how can the education community, along with various industry leaders, can we address and make sure that this creativity and whole host of things impacting the student outcomes? So let me open up on this topic with Dr. Balasubramaniam. Over to you, sir. And what are your thoughts on encouraging innovation mindset? Primarily in students, primarily aided by creative technologies and various other options that you feel are relevant in the current context of digital. Kindly unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all agree that digital is playing a large role in our lives. Yes, but I think we should not go over the top with that, because when you're teaching design in a college or a university, what the students who come are already savvy, digitally savvy. They, when we suggest a software, they'll tell you something better or something cheaper or something more easily available, or it's got its own advantages. So the students who we get into our university are already savvy with the software, but they are not. We are compelled to teach them things like empathy, and that, for instance, has come about with the pandemic. People now understand what it means to lose a friend or a parent. They understand what it means to be able to be, grateful for what you have, and stuff like that, and that develops empathy, and that is very important. Creativity is another thing. We teach creativity in situations uh, where you're compelled to be creative. You have no choice but to be creative. And technology has only so much to give in that situation. You have to get your inner being worked up to make sure that you can get creative in situations where it's difficult to do. And so those are skills which are required for the coming era. And let's not forget those. Uh, and we should know how to use these technology to get what we want. So, like I said, it's got a purpose, and it's going to be all pervading, yes, but it has to be leveraged with soft skills, which is very important. And that's one thing which I would like to emphasize upon in this place.
Yep.
Does it answer your question, or have I
Yep.
gone on a tangent?
No, it's fine. It works. It's absolutely final pointers that you've gotten. It's a very interesting pointer as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Balasubramaniam. Let me move on to Dr. Arunotpal, Professor Arunotpal Thakur. Professor, fashion and physical, it's more of a human touch, 90% of the times. And you've been there in the heart of the industrial actions that have been surrounding in the fashion and design space for a long time. Now, given the current situation of digital, where do you place your bets in terms of ensuring that uh, the students get their best, they learn, they adopt, and they transform various aspects of the problem statements that you are trying to address, for these students? Your thoughts?
See, in the fashion world, obviously aesthetics and fit become two very critical factors. And my own experience, whether it is at Louis Vuitton or at Zara, uh, they needed physical models to test a product. But that has changed, especially in the mass market. in what we call the luxury section of the market or segment of the market, uh, physical still takes precedence, especially on the design part. But in the mass market, uh, there's a lot of digitization which has happened over last, I would say, 10 years. Obviously, over last 2 years, it has just been, the speed has been frantic in terms of what needs to be done. Today, I know that a fit session in Shanghai is done while the design team sits in Paris. And it happens uh, earlier because the tools, 3D tools, have developed to an extent where you can test each and every centimeter or inch of the garment. Whereas in luxury world or the luxury segment of the market, you still need a model on which you're gonna fit a size 2. Okay, uh, because the waist, which is supposed to be a 26, has to be a 26. But the contours, when you do digital, the contours are very, very straight. Whereas in actual life, no contour of a physical body is straight. So that still uh, that is still some time before we get there. The other aspect, as Professor Balasubramanian was talking about, you know, all the tools in this world are basically based on machine learning. Okay, uh, so through machine learning, we've been able to get what we today call artificial intelligence. But we must not mistake that we have artificial general intelligence, AGI, because at the moment, everything works in single domain. It does not work across domain. That means on certain aspects, in terms of being precise, probably the tools or the machine will be able to do something much more precise than a human being. But as Dr. Seema pointed out in her conversation, sculpture, where you need feel, where your nerves in your hands, feed your nerves in your brain. We are wired in a particular way till date. But the more digital we get, our mind will be rewired over a period of time. Till that time, we will struggle to find that balance between where the tool is more important or the human is more important. That finding that balance is going to be critical as we evolve and become much more digital than we have been. And the Generation Z is really, really going to be helpful because they are born and they've got technology in their hands. Now, I'm sure all of us know most of the kids who cannot sit, who have to be fed, they are on a screen while they're being fed, because that's how they're being fed. Otherwise, they will not eat.
Yeah, true.
So their brains are being wired very differently than ours. And that's how this whole technology will evolve. But one thing is for sure, the day technology enters our physical body, that is when you probably will find breakthroughs in AGI. Till that, but that is going to be an ethical challenge for human species. But in fashion, uh, in mass market, they've gone as digital as you can get because of all the pandemic and let's say the reticence of people from west to travel to east or from you're trying to digitize it as many processes, especially in supply chain, especially in retail environment. I have seen enough shops now where there is nobody except machine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone has gone into a shop in China, in China, in Shanghai or Beijing, or now even in places like San Francisco, New York, where you just have to have a QR code with you. Nobody tells you anything. There is no physical counter. So the supply chain and the retail front, that is being digitized at a frantic pace. The whole buying, where how much we must buy and how much we must not buy, and the forecasting, that that is now a big challenge for most companies to get it as much possible as precise, because nobody wants to hold on to stocks. So they want to, and that is where machine learning becomes very, very critical. But at the same time, as most of people on the panel and probably in the audience are very tech savvy and they understand the digital world, all of us know how Facebooks or the Googles of this world catch on to your likes and dislikes, and your ads are fed accordingly. So the machines are trained and they're customized for individual whims and fancies. And that is where most of the mass market fashion world is going to.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, I hope I explained whatever is happening in that field.
Yeah, there are advantages. There is madness. There is a method to the madness, and then I think a human brain, I hope, would prevail. And with that, key pointers from Professor Arnold. So let me move over to Professor Nachiket. Um, Professor Nachiket, from the era of being the physical design in the mechanical and automotive world, I think today we have come far, far ahead in terms of not just designing, a motorcade at the end of the day, but we are also going ahead and, probably, I would say, indigenous manufacture of various forms of design for the automotive sector at a large space. And I think innovation is at its peak, including multi-purpose vehicles which can take multiple forms from aerial to water to whatnots as an option today. And there's no boundary to it, unlike what it used to be. And I think technology has paved way in that sense. So the question largely comes around is, again, from what used to be done physically, designed, tested, and then there's a whole host of A/B testing that goes around it, versus what is being now, uh, I would say, prototyped and kind of simulated in some sense. So, how do you see this space shaping up, and what do you think could be the plus and minus in this space? Yeah, kindly unmute yourself, please.
It's an interesting situation which all of us are in. To be honest, as Sukrit, you rightly mentioned, the journey from physical to digital is fast, as all of us have said. In the space of doling out multiple options of whatever, it can be vehicles, it can be products, anything, and the collaboration between two locations, I think that has increased multifold. So just to give a couple of examples from the student side, there, and of course that's because the digital literacy with the creative tools. I'm not saying about just the communication tools, but the creative tools has brought everyone on the same level. So it's now a hygiene that somebody in the automotive space should know a 3D modeling software. So when there is a hackathon, for example, where students from multiple locations are participating to create one unique solution, the collaborative efforts are humongous, and there's a huge cross learning. So they share the model, because it is a platform which is common. Students are able to work on it again, resend and do the changes and collaborate. That's one very important thing which has happened across different institutions. Also, for students themselves, being located in multiple locations also has brought in this need for being digitally savvy with respect to creating new concepts. So that, I think, that is the crux which everybody of us are experiencing. Similarly, uh, digital internships, that's a very important aspect which has emerged in the student side from big OEMs. So the time to get newer ideas for OEM companies, to get inputs from students, to get ideas from students, the time to do that has reduced multifold. Plus, a particular mentor in an industry is able to talk to 10 different people with the same brief, and analyzing and reviewing the ideas on a common platform. I think this was not possible earlier. It was not thought of also. Uh,
Interesting. Yeah.
of course, there are multiple levels which critical design ideas are not discussed in a common platform, but 75-80% of the stuff is very easily conversed upon. And I cannot name the company, but one graduation project which our students did, there were uh, two students from 6 institutions which are
Wow.
working on the same project with the same brief, and there's only one mentor sitting in the automobile company talking to 12 students at the same time. Those 12 students were able to see each other's work and individually come out with 12 different options for the company. So the cross learning which happened with these different institutions, I'm sure you will agree, was not possible even 5 years back. The so sacrosancy of नहीं नहीं ये MIT का है, ये इसका है, उसका है. The manufacturing company also was being secretive, but that's how the things have transformed, and that makes things really good. Last point in this is, for teaching form, for teaching design, there was always thought that you should physically feel the material and create a form. Having said that, students themselves found it, and it was very difficult for many students to push them to learn digital tools because they were very happy doing things physically, sculpting the form in thermocol, in POP, and stuff like that. But this particular digital transformation pushed themselves, so we didn't have to push them hard. They themselves realized that they should learn the 3D software by themselves quickly. Then only they will be able to learn, and that made them mature in one sense, and they explored their own territory. There were people who used watermelon covers, watermelon का जो ऊपर का sheet होता है,
Yeah.
that as a material, or whatever they can find around them, to just feel whatever they have done in 3D, to feel in a physical way, in some small way, so that they can take inputs and do the digital stuff more stronger. So what has happened, that in last 2 batches of students, the digital output and understanding has gone multifold. I'm specifically talking about from transportation design, product design, furniture design standpoint in the industrial design space. We have seen a big transformation happening with students from 2 years back and students which were there last year and this year. Their projects have gone on a different level. There are industrial design students who end up, Professor Suresh, end up doing a video or an animation of whatever their products they have done because the digital model is ready. So that's a big change. So they make animation films, they make videos using that product idea to present it in a better way, which was not thought of earlier. So I think these are good times we are in, and the plus side of the pandemic, or plus side of the so-called digital push, has helped the overall industry and ecosystem to grow.
Thank you, Professor Nachiket. So to sum it up, you're saying need is the mother of all gods, and then so have the students and the academicians adopted many of these things for the good. Let me move on to Professor Suresh. For his thoughts on how do you encourage innovation, primarily, from an innovative mindset. I know, you have new media as something that has been there for quite some time, as a underlying subject. But I think today it's no longer new media; it is the present media. I would put it across. So, what are your thoughts? How are students innovating? Because the physical world is kind of vanished for your prospective professionals in your space.
Thank you. Let me, I tend to agree with most of my, fellow panelists. You see, I'll give you a latest example. Couple of days back, the state government of Madhya Pradesh announced a MP Maha Vaccination Abhiyan. It's a massive vaccination campaign. And our state created a sort of records by vaccinating about 15 lakh people on a single day. But on the eve of that, I got a call from the government saying that, can you help us in creating awareness if your students can prepare a few videos? Now, remember that we are closed right now, no physical classes, students are not in the campus, students are not even in the city. Most of them are outstation students, even in, spread across different states. Within 4 or 5 hours of the message being sent on WhatsApp groups, I had over 200 videos on vaccination.
Wow.
And they were very creative, out of the box, innovative. Many people went direct to the village, to the agricultural fields. From there, they urged fellow citizens to get themselves vaccinated. Now, these are not ideas we gave them. We did not give them these ideas. We just said we need awareness videos. We said that it should be within so many seconds or within a minute or maximum. Can you believe it? The chief minister of the state retweeted many of those videos. The public relation department, that was a huge, booster, morale booster to these students, who had no other, that their videos were tweeted by none other than the chief minister himself. Now, this is the kind of, proactive approach of today, students who are. So I believe that the students are technologically savvy. This entire debate on, I know there are some real issues with regard to the rural divide, the digital divide, the rural urban divide, and all that. But it is also a fact that mobile has become the symbol of an aspirational symbol. Everybody wants to have a smartphone, today. So you will find whether it is a domestic maid in a city, a rickshaw puller, or somebody in the villages. Everybody is somehow trying to have what used to be that of a color television sets a decade back is now, smartphones. Look at the kind of stories that come on television. The kind of stories that you see is that people are climbing mountains, climbing trees in search of tower. They have got the smartphones. So what they require is internet connectivity. Okay. So this is the kind of, a kind of, it's no more, I often say that it's no more roti, kapda or makan. It's roti, kapda, makan and data. So people are, because more and more people are consuming more data than food. But yes, it has its physiological and psychological aspects, which the earlier esteemed panelists had referred to. It is having, playgrounds are empty these days. People are not able to move out. And the kind of exposure that even kids are having, that's media time is huge. And there needs to be a digital discipline, that has to be there. But the fact is that today you give the mobile phone to the younger generation is actually widened in such a way that they can unlock the most difficult of processes within split seconds. And I think our generations, the younger generation, every generation that's coming is a lot more digital savvy by birth. It's not by training. I often say that, like you divide history into two parts, BC and AD, before Christ and Anno Domini. I mean, you can divide our media zone, media space into two parts, BC and AG, before Google and after Google. We belong to the before Google generation. We started from manual, then we went on to typewriters, and then we shifted to the computers. Again, from pagers to Motorola sets to, wireless, and then to mobile phones. We have traversed that. But this generation, as one of the panelists rightly pointed out, I mean, you don't show the crows and the kittens anymore to feed a child. You just play the smartphone in front of the child, and the child is quiet. Now that's the reality. How good, how bad, that only time will say. But the fact is that today the younger generation is much more savvy. They are getting a lot of. Now the thing is that in this era of infodemic, can they get reliable? How reliable this entire conversation has to be, the engagement has to be, it has to be based on credible communication. That's very important. That's where a lot of these your tools also come into play. Fact checking. Fact checking is very important today because this infodemic, this misinformation, disinformation, propaganda that's going on. How do you distinguish between the wheat and the chaff? That's important. So there is an overdose of information, and people who are not media literate are getting exposed hugely. I mean, imagine senior journalists are making blunders on Twitter and others. So, and I believe that today technology helps you provided you are media literate. And by media, I'm not talking about print media or news media. I'm talking about the platforms. So what is required is a national media literacy mission wherein we need to teach our youngsters right from the school curricula, the primary curricula, like sex education, media literacy has to be an integral part of the curriculum. Like we teach them good touch, bad touch. Today, you have got, cyberbullying, you have got cyber pornography, you have got a lot of darknet out there. We need to educate, sensitize our students to the, these dangers also which are lurking around. That's also important. And here is where technology comes to play in a big way. How we can tell, because I mean, I can cite so many instances where young but semi-literate people have got misled by certain videos which have used animation. Now, how to create media literacy on a large scale, that is also important, wherein they know how photographs can be morphed, how videos can be manipulated, how audios can be doctored. These are also important things which we need to disseminate among the younger generations across the country. This infodemic, I mean, come to think of it, despite all the efforts being made by government, there is so much of vaccine resistance in this country. And I'm not talking about illiterate and semi-literate people. I'm talking about educated people who are not taking vaccines. This is just an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Suresh. That was quite divergent pointers, very relevant. Thank you so much for bringing your inputs. Let me move on to Dr. Seema. Today we're in a world of design-led innovations, and I think today startups is the name of the game, right? If you were to look at most of these innovations that are happening, it's coming from the young India who are, clearly taking the footsteps of, bringing in new innovations to solve various problems in the society as large. So I would like to understand, from all of you, and let me start with Dr. Seema on this in terms of how can you jumpstart on this journey of helping students start their own digital businesses or digital led innovations. They have their own dreams, aspirations, and today technology platforms are helping them to have their own startups. Any thoughts around that? How can universities play a critical role?
Actually, uh, because in this situation we are by force. We are not by choice. Already there were digital platforms were already there. All these options were we are having, but we were not using all these options because if you asked me before 1 or 2 years that okay, Dr. Seema, you have to join by Zoom, or we were having a virtual meeting, I think I was not familiar with that. But nowadays, we were having 2 meeting, 3 meeting, and it is also helpful, and it is quite time saving also for all of us. So I think due to this pandemic, we were much familiar with this online learning, online teaching, and learning online digital platforms, and uh, I think we had explored a number of options for our students. And eh, in this area, already in our university, we had we are planning for a startup policy for the students, and for like for visual art students, we developed a virtual gallery. From there, they can display their work, and I think 2 or 3 students get back to me, and they are saying, "Ma'am, some of before that we were not able to do all the things, but after this virtual gallery, I think per month we are having 30,000 or 40,000. We are working from home." So I think for the students, if universities and all the institutions take some steps for startup policies, and there are various tools already were there, but which are not so popular. I think Nachiket Thakur sir already explored that today's generation is Google generation. I just want to share one incident. My son was just 5 year old, and one day he was playing some game on my mobile, and some of the option which I never try on my phone, and I asked, "What are you, Yashashvi? Is this option in my phone?" "Yes, Mama. Inside your phone, there was option, but you never use this option." "Okay. अब मैं इसको ठीक कैसे करूँ? Please मुझे बता तो दो." So today's generation is more smart, and they were exploring. Even students are coming to us. "Okay, ma'am. There are some tools, some platforms are available there, and which are very helpful for them also and for university also." So I think already Amazon is doing great nowadays, because before that I don't think I have ordered online so many products. But in this pandemic, every day everything I'm using. Okay, go to Amazon and भी वहीं से हम order कर रहे हैं. So in my point of view, due to this pandemic, we explored online digital platform because of this pandemic, and students are also familiar with uh, uh, this type of platform.
Yeah.
And if before 2 year, I asked the students, "Okay, students, these are some digital platform, and you should use this, and they were helpful for you." Students were not, I think, so much a student will not take interest on this type of talk. But nowadays they accept almost. I would say we accept all these platform, and we are familiar. And I think after this pandemic, it will also helpful for us. I think our lifestyle will be completely changed in future, and the study we can complete our study in a blended mode, because a few years back we were only work in physical mode, and in
Yeah.
nowadays we are working in online and digital mode. But the fruitful study will be if we will do the study in a blended mode.
Yeah.
So, I conclude my point that after this pandemic, we learn a lot uh, um, in this scenario, and we should go with the blended teaching and learning. And already we received guidelines from UGC also, and 60% of syllabus you should go with the a physical mode, and 40% you should go with the digital mode. So I think it will fruitful for everyone if we will do all these with in a blended mode. This is my.
Thank you, Dr. Sima. Let me move on to Dr. Balasubramaniam. So we spoke about design-led innovations and startups. As you're aware, 80% of today's venture capital funding is flowing in the direction of design-led innovations and startups as an area. So, and needless to say, young India, starting from the university, graduates or even students who are currently in the stream of about to get graduated, are jumping into these streams. Your thoughts on how university can play a role or a level playing field for providing some of these opportunities, in and encouraging these students to jump into the entrepreneurship bandwagon. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we do that at JKLU. In fact, what happened was we have a program called Interaction Design Program,
Mm-hmm.
which where the students are taught how to deal with aspects of digital interaction and physical interactions, also including device to device and human being to device. And so, in that, a student of third semester, had designed an app, which is basically a diet and recipe app. You know, basically what it does is, based on what your diet requirements are, it will provide a recipe for you. And and she got very interested in it, and she kind of made it elaborate, went into the depth of the program, and came up with an app which is quite good. I mean, it could have been taken up for as an incubation project. And so I introduced them. We have an Atal Incubation Center within our campus. So I
Mm-hmm.
introduced her to the person in charge, and he said, "This is revolutionary. In fact, there's no such thing existing now. Maybe we should do something about it." And that girl kind of said that it's too early. I don't want to become an entrepreneur so soon. So I'll keep it for another day. And God knows why. I mean, I'll probably coming up with more such apps. So to cut a long story short, we provide opportunities for our students, and we are just waiting. We are a very small institute. We are just 3 years
Uh-huh.
old, and but we are waiting for them to come up with these new ideas. So my first semester students came up with a project where they designed a device for elderly who are feeling lonely. Okay, so it had physical controls instead of these touch controls, and it is like an iPad with a lot of physical controls. You know what I'm saying? So so that again was very interesting and different, and they had come up with this thing because they saw their own grandparents feeling lonely during the pandemic.
Very
And
nice.
yeah, so like I said, that empathy is very important,
Right.
to
Right.
get our students to think like that. See, technology was there, it was always there. We are in a period in time where technology is available for anything. The imagination is what is lacking. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine something, there is a technology available to to make it alive. So we should focus on the imagination of our students and make sure that they can come up with ideas. To do that, we have to make sure that they're empathetic to situations and come up with creative solutions. I think that will lead to a nice future which we all can live in.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said, Dr. Balasubramaniam. Let me hover around to Dr. Professor Arunotpal Thakur. Uh, so on the collaboration side of it, and I think NDTU has been one of the front runners in collaboration and trying to adopt various new methodologies of bringing in industry to classroom and also take the design-led startup to the next level as well. What has been your thought, and what are your probably top two areas that you'd like to focus on fostering, the uh, design startup ecosystem in your realm, in your space? Yeah, please unmute. Sir.
Yeah, sorry. As you know, DTU is a pretty old institutions. It was founded in 1932 as a Delhi Polytechnic, and then came Delhi College of Engineering and School of Fine Art and School of Planning and Architecture. So it has a very long and rich history in terms of uh, uh, churning out people who've done well. What we at Design Department and DTU are trying to do is, because we have, pretty much 12 different streams of technical education going on at the same time. So the whole idea is to kind of collaborate between, whether it is people in computer or electronics doing machine learning or mechanical engineering, or because we have specializations in visual communication, interaction, as well as fashion and product. So all four specializations on their own, as well as in collaboration with various departments, technical departments. Uh, the students themselves, because a lot of them live in hostels here, so they
Okay.
try and collaborate and combine and see and try and add strengths from each sides to come up with something which is design led but technology based. That is where DTU is really, and more than us as faculty, it's the students who are basically right into it. Uh, so that way we've been lucky, and then obviously we collaborate with organizations like Adobe or Siemens uh, or Google. So that gives us, that has been very helpful in trying to define what kind of collaborations are possible. At the same time, trying to push in various directions so that our students, the basic idea is that whatever we design or whatever we collaborate on, there has to be a value addition to the society we are in, and hopefully people can make money out of it. Those are the two aspects of, that's how we believe there is successful and sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem can be nurtured and pushed forward to greater heights. That's how we look at collaboration in a DTU kind of scenario.
Yeah, well put, Professor Arunotpal. Thank you so much for those, feedback. So let me just take 2 to 3 more minutes. I'm getting, the red flag from the, organizers. So I'll move over to, Professor Nachiket and Professor Suresh. If you can take, 90 seconds each in the interest of time. Please share your thoughts on, what are the realms that you are encouraging your students on entrepreneurship and design-led innovations.
So quickly for design-led innovation, entrepreneurship, as Dr. Balasubramanian also mentioned, we have something which we call as Design Guild, which enables the design graduates to work on projects which gives them work on a commercial space. So that's one area. Another important thing which many of our universities have it is the Atal Incubation Center. So we have a very specific focus on design-led innovations and how to utilize them. And third is we are trying to create a center of excellence for design thinking, which gives inputs to the non-design students, non-design faculties to adopt design principles for making their venture or making their business idea better or reach more depth in terms of how they create their business idea. I think these three opportunities for creating good design-led, innovation-led entrepreneurs is something which we promote. Another thing which we are trying to do is creating a lot of opportunities or schemes which help students to prototype their ideas, because that's been innovators' big nightmare. That a lot of things are there in mind, but if you want to do it physically, that's a challenge. So we encourage, and there are multiple schemes which help students to our students and faculty also to convert their ideas into reality. So I think these are some of the initiatives which we promote to our students at the university level, because design school is just one part of the
Understood.
11 different institutions which we have on campus,
Got it.
but it gives a lot of strong inputs from the design side.
Yeah.
I
Thank you
think
so much, Professor Nikhil.
89 minutes
Yeah.
sharp, 89
Thank
seconds sharp.
Thank you
Okay.
for keeping within time. So, Professor Suresh, over to you. Your thoughts on
Uh,
entrepreneurship and e-journalism, I would say.
Thank you. The first thing we did was that we have redesignated our placement cell as placement and entrepreneurship cell.
Wow.
So that was the first big thing that we did. In collaboration with the Entrepreneurship Development Institute in Ahmedabad, we have conducted workshops for our students, because we have said that we are now no more, focusing on job seekers, but rather our focus is on job creators. So this is the mindset change that we are bringing about, because every year you would have students that who are saying that, sir, we want jobs. Why don't you become job creators rather than looking for, and for that technology is the biggest enabler. We have given a major push to mojo mobile journalism in a big way. We are encouraging students to have their own YouTube channels. We are encouraging them to be bloggers. We are encouraging them to use social media also for monetization,
Mhm.
and how to create content, because there's a lot of demand for good content. So
Correct.
content creation is an area where we are focusing on. All our departments have come together. The NEP, National Education Policy, as I said, that we have become the first university in the country to roll out, 7 NEP courses.
Professor Suresh, I think we.
So far as
Yeah.
5 of these courses are exclusively media courses. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now there was a blip. Yeah. Go on, please.
Yeah. So 5 of them are exclusively media courses. In these courses, they have become interdisciplinary, and we have now weaved in, as part of life skills, and also we have weaved in a lot of computer applications in all the courses. Now, this is enabling a lot of students who are basically, only using computers so far as writing stories are concerned, or to do some Google search. Now, with the introduction of computer applications in as part of the choice based credit system, there is an increasing interest that is being shown. We are investing in hugely in mega computer labs, where we are offering a lot of options. In fact, we are the pioneers of computer education in the state of Madhya Pradesh, through
Mhm.
our associated 1600 study centers across the state.
Mhm.
That's what we have. We have a postgraduate diploma in computer applications, through which we have promoted computer education in this state like anything. And today it has gained popularity and traction, and it has become a huge hub. So we are promoting now. What we are looking at is an integration of journalism with computer applications, wherein obviously softwares are going to play a very critical role. And I said animation, gaming, comics, visual effects, these are the areas where we plan to focus in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Suresh. Thank you, our esteemed panelists. It was truly an amazing and insightful session that we've had. Just to sum it up, we spoke about digital first, enormous opportunity and challenges that are there, and then how are educational institutions and students innovating in the first section. The second one was about how do you connect the physical and digital world, the haves versus have-nots, and then how are we addressing the ever-growing demand in the boardrooms versus our society, and at the same time ensuring that students have empathy and then they bring about the creative best from a technology-led innovation standpoint. The last area was largely around design-led innovations, bringing in the innovative mindset. How do you bring about the creator aspect in your students and create job creators rather than just being job seekers as an area? And I'm sure all of you have touched various cards of education system, both from design, technology, and amalgamation of various things from societal problem standpoint. Thank you so much for your time, your insights. We really appreciate your support. You've been a great sport. Thank you so much for being open enough and candid about your thoughts and ideas. To all the viewers, who would like to talk more about it with Adobe, please reach out to me and my team. I'm available on mail, nagaraju@adobe.com. And till we meet next again, thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Suprit. Thank
Thank
you.
you. It was a
Thank
real
you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye bye. Have a
Bye.
nice day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.